Hello everyone. Today I'm going to show you how to do a widget interaction in Matplotlib. Many a times we want to have interactive plots like this, where suppose if you had a line that there is some factor here by which if you multiply the values on the x-axis, the y-axis values will automatically get multiplied. Currently it is multiplied by a factor of 2, and if I increase this multiplication factor, my y values are changing. So this kind of interaction you can do using the Matplotlib widgets. So let's understand the line by line. What is it required? So you'll have to import these libraries, the numpy library, matplotlib.pyplot matplotlib.animation, and from the matplotlib.widgets we are importing the slider. There are many kinds of interactions that are possible. The one that I'm showing today is just the slider. There are many different widgets. Okay, so you can go ahead and check the other widgets that are there. And when we want to open this graph in a new window, we will use the %matplotlib space qt. So the first line, we are creating a subplot, and the x-axis is a numbers between 1 to 100, 1 to 10, 100 numbers between 1 to 10. Okay, linearly spaced numbers between 1 to 10. The multiplying factor I have taken as 2, and the y value is x multiplied by just the multiplying factor. Since it's a demo, this is a simple code that I'm showing you. So when you do a plt.plot, the normal plt.plot, you can save this in a variable. This variable I have kept as y. After this, what you need to do is you create this ax, you assign the axis to this ax variable, the subplot variable. The axis being my x-axis is from 0 to 12 and my y-axis range from 0 to 55. Okay, after that you assign a new variable ax underscore add x. Okay, and from this we are giving a position of where the slider will be. This particular thing is the x and the y position below the bottom and the width and the height of the slider. So I'll show you again. I'll run the code and show you what does this particular line means. It means the positioning of this particular slider. So you initiate the slider. Okay, you give it this variable here, give a particular name, you can give any name, and the values I want is between 1 and 5, and the initial value is 2, and I'm saving this in this variable s underscore x. So this, when we want to call a change, on the click of the slider, we want to call a function that will be updating the x values. That is why we define this function called update. Okay, and you pass a value here. So this multiplying factor is picked up from the slider s underscore x dot value. Okay, and now you set your y data. Okay, so this plot, this variable that we used here, L variable, it is used at this location where you're updating for this plot the y data, and the y data is x into the multiplying factor, and then you redraw the canvas and you call this on the slider dot on change. You call this particular function update function. Alright, so this is the position, the initial value is 2, and this is the initial plot. Okay, this particular plot that we have done. And when you click here, this on change function is called, and this update function is called here. Y data is set accordingly. Okay, so you can set the margins of this plot dynamically, and let me show you how to set the margin. So in this figure, you have a subplots adjust function where you can adjust margins of on each side, the left, bottom, right, top, okay, vertical space, the width and the horizontal. So when you give a 0.2, now you see the margin between this and the slider, it has slightly increased from the previous. So you can adjust your sliders accordingly. So like instead of now 0.2, this is from the bottom. If I increase 0.6, it will increase from the bottom and come up near the top. Okay, so the bottom space has increased and this slider is moved up. The only problem here is you have to adjust it manually. If you increase it too much, it may come over your graph. Okay, so adjust this as per your graph. Let's see one interesting example of a sine wave. I'll show you on two sliders. So I have the code ready so that we don't spend time too much on the code. We will have a similar function here. You will take the subplots, adjust the spacing, the left spacing, bottom spacing. I'm just adjusting the bottom spacing. We'll have a couple of variables. First variable is values between 0 to the pi 3.14, 100 values. The second variable I've kept is as a beta variable between 1 to 10 and 100 values. And the actual plot that is happening is this particular thing, np into sine t multiplied by 5. This is my initial value for the first slider, which I'm denoting as the amplitude, and the second slider is a beta slider whose initial value I have kept as 12. So if you have two sliders, you will have to have two different variables which will be having these two different slider values. Okay, it will store. And your axis, so the positioning of these two sliders, okay, you have to position it appropriately. The one which is having a high margin will come first, because remember that it is from the top, the margin is from the top. So if this is less, then this will be below. And this is your main axis for the plot. So that this function will be called twice, one on the first changed update, and the second is the second slider update change, and you will call in this function, you will set the y data as per your requirement, okay, as per I have set originally. So when you run this, you will, if you change the amplitude here, I'm changing the frequency, okay, you will notice this kind of a thing, and here this is changing the beta, the amplitude. So basically it has gone, my naming has changed. It should have been the opposite way around, but you get the gist. This is how you can animate using widgets, and you can give it a interactive feel to the user. I hope it helps you. Thank you.